All right, guys, so we are going to get this lawnmower ready for the summer months. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to take this blade and sharpen it up. I don't know if you can see this on the video very well, but if you look along this edge right here, there's a lot of scarring on this edge. And so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this blade. Now we're going to take this over here and put it in a vise. And we're going to use this file to clean the edge of this blade up. We want to try and keep this as even as we can. So kind of work your way along the blade. Start at this end and just kind of work your way along the blade. Now this particular blade came off of a mulching lawnmower. If you look at it, you can see that this end of the blade has a curvature on it. What this does is as this cuts the grass, it throws the grass up inside of the lawnmower, and then this blade comes around and breaks it into really tiny small pieces. And so what we've got to do is just make sure that we keep these edges nice and sharp so that instead of ripping our grass, we're actually cutting it. We're going to attempt to get all of these little nicks and scars out of this blade so that it's not ripping our grass any longer. You try to follow the same angle that they did at the factory. So there's this one little nick right here that I suppose I'm just going to leave. It's not wanting to clean up. I think I'm just going to leave it for this time. So now we want to try and take an equal amount off of each side. I'm going to turn this blade around, clamp it back here in the vise. Again, we're going to start out here. Takes a little bit of practice to work around this corner. Again, this end's got a few little scars on it that I'm not going to take down far enough to get them out. I'm going to get them fairly decent. It looks like this thing got into a rock pretty good. I just run along the back side just a little bit. You want to try and keep the back of this flat as you can. But I'm just going to run along it just a little bit just to kind of clean things up. Okay, there you have it. Now we're going to go put this back on. Now, you don't want to do like I just did and put it on backwards. Put that on there, and we'll tighten that bolt up, and we are ready to go. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that the air filter is clean. Before I do this, I'm going to go ahead and blow some of this dirt away from the housing. Then we'll remove the housing. We're going to bring it over here and pull this filter out. Wow, that's had a lot of junk in it. So I'm going to take this and blow this out. I'm going to go overhead and go over this trash can so I can try not to make too big of a mess. Maybe the trash can was a bad idea. And then, since the air travels from this side through the air filter, we're going to blow everything back that direction. Actually, this lawnmower needs a new air cleaner. But now, what I typically do with an air cleaner is I hold it up, and if you can see light through it, it's probably still working. And this one I can see a little light through. I'm going to go ahead and replace this one. However, for this video, we're going to go ahead and put it back on. So the first thing we're going to do is install it back in the housing. And we'll hook the housing back up here on the bottom where it goes. And run this back up in here. And tighten the screw up. Now, hopefully you've taken your lawnmower and ran it out of gas. And hopefully you've been running some gas stabilizer in your gasoline so that you don't get a plugged up carburetor. The next thing that I'm going to do to this engine is I'm going to change the oil on it. Now this engine does not have a drain plug, so I'm going to do that a little bit differently, and we will get set up and then we'll start to record that part of the video. Alright, so this particular lawnmower doesn't have an oil drain plug on it, but I want to change the oil on it, so I'm going to see if I can make this work. What I have here is a fluid extractor. And I'm going to run this down inside of this oil tube. And see if we can draw the oil out of here. Here it comes. You can see it traveling up right here. So we're draining the oil out of the engine through the little drain tube. You can see that this oil is pretty black, and so we're going to get it all out and then we'll put new oil in it. This is the same way that I changed the oil on my boat. Instead of putting the pan underneath of it, having a drain plug, I use this extractor to do it. Kind of a slow go. But you can see how it's drawing the oil out of the crankcase. So I think we'll just let this go a little while and make sure that we get all the oil out of it. It's going to be kind of hard to tell since this stuff has turned my hose black. Alright, so we've got the oil out of this machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect this air hose. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this hose out of here. And then we'll add oil to this machine. Now, what we want to do is make sure that we don't get this overfull. Because if you overfill one of these things, they will spit oil all over your lawn. And then that makes you use bad words. And you guys know how I feel about bad words. We're going to check this. That looks like it still needs just a little bit. All right, and there's that. Okay, so I'm going to change the oil on this pressure washer as well. And the oil plug to change this oil is right in here. I'm going to just pull this tire off so that we can see it a little bit better. To do that, we're just going to pull this little clip right here. We're going to try not to drop it because I don't want to have to chase it all over the shop. And then we'll just pull this wheel off. And now you can see up in here where the oil plug is at. So we're just going to pull this plug out. And then the oil will drain out into this drain pan that we've got down below it here. Now, while I'm draining the oil on this one, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull the air filter off of it. And we're just going to take a look at this. Oh yeah, that looks pretty clean. You can see, looks pretty clean on both sides. Look through it, you can clearly see daylight through it. I'm going to go ahead and blow it out anyways. Again, we're going to blow the opposite direction of where the air goes through the carburetor. And we're just going to blow that out. And then we'll install this back in. Now this particular machine has a gas shutoff. If you'll come around to this side, you can see right here that I've got the gas in the off position. I did run this out of gas the last time I used it, so that it wouldn't have any old gas sitting in the carburetor. I find that that's probably about the best practice for these small engines. If you don't do that, they will almost always give you trouble. I am going to do a video in just a little while that is going to show you some of the trouble that we run into whenever we don't make sure that we take care of our gas with a small engine. I'm going to just look down through here and see what everything looks like. So it's kind of a slow drain. Well, it probably would have helped if I'd have warmed everything up before we changed the oil in it, but that's okay. So this is something that should be done to all of your small engines before you start the season. I like to take all of my small engines and make sure that they are cleaned up, have good oil in them. I will typically try to run the gas out of them in the fall, the last time I use them, so that I don't have old gas sitting in the fuel tanks. That old gas causes a tremendous amount of trouble, especially if it's got ethanol in it. So in order to determine what type of oil you need, you usually just look it up online. This particular engine had an owner's manual with it, and so it told me the type of oil to use. If you don't have an owner's manual, then you can just look it up online. This stuff is pretty readily available. It's fairly easy to find information, especially nowadays with the internet. Well, it's still got a little bit of ways to go. I might speed the process up just a touch by leaning this direction if I can keep it from falling on me. So like I said, later on I'm going to show you a video. We are going to look at a motorcycle that has been sitting with old gas in it for a while and has given us some trouble. In fact, it would not start this morning, and so it was brought to me so that I can take a look at it and see if we can figure out what we can do to make it run. Step 2 is knock your stuff down onto the floor, so you have to go chasing it. Always step 2. Now this doesn't have to be extremely tight, but it needs to be fairly snug. I think I must have over tightened it last time that I did this. Now since this engine does not have a dipstick on it, we just have to kind of watch the oil level. The oil level should be just below this filler hole, somewhere in this area right here. And so we're going to use a funnel to be able to pour the oil in here. We'll take that funnel, and we'll pour a little bit of oil in here. It's going to take a little while for this to run down. I don't suspect you guys would be able to see with the camera where the oil level's at. And I'm going to let that run down for just a second, and then we're going to take a look and see where it's at. These things don't take a tremendous amount of oil. It is going to take just a little bit more than that. And that should do it. to take this towel and take it underneath of this funnel and set this funnel down in this drain so that I don't wind up with a mess on my floor. And not sure if you can see down in there or not, but we'll give it a try and see if you can see what the oil level looks like down in there. If you can't, that's okay. It's probably not. Anyways, the oil level's about right here right now. If you look down in there, you can see it. So that's good. We're going to do that. We'll put the cap back on this. And then we'll put this tire back on. Maybe. Push this back out. Reinstall our clip on it so that it won't come off. Sometimes you have to use a pair of pliers to put these on if you don't have a strong thumb. All right, there we have that. That wraps the maintenance up on this one for the moment.